That is exactly who we are. And most of the time it's because we do not understand the mental psychology that made that man be who he is, and out of who he is, you are. So you cannot distance yourself
run away from
those roots unless you are active.
You do something actively, intentionally.
But for you to be able to do something intentionally, you have to go back and first understand and fix those roots. How? You can't change your dad.
No.
But you can teach him.
Yeah.
You see, at your age now, you can't expect emotion from him. But you know what will change him? Is him receiving emotion from you.
Yeah. Actually, something happened in the family about 2 weeks ago or something like that. Something very bad. The brother who follows me called him up. And he told him, how are you doing, and so on and so forth. This and this and this and this happened. I would like you not to do it again. You guy.
How did that go?
He said, yeah, I understand. I don't think it's going to happen again.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
So you see the power that you have as a son.
Yeah.
To like as a son of a father, while being a father, you are primed to fix the past. And straighten the future. I've seen that. Like your brother was able now to reach into the past and say, Dad, that's not how we do things.
Yeah.
Now standing on that authority, you can now instruct your son and say, this is how we do things.
Yeah.
You get?
Yeah.
Because a child responds to positive.
Yeah.
An adult responds to correction.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the other way around. Like you can correct a child, but then you can positively reinforce an adult and say, no, by the way, you're wise.
Yeah.
And wise people do like this.
Yeah.
A child, you say, you're not stupid.
Yeah.
So we have to break those patterns of paternity, because there's nothing wrong with being our father's sons.
Yeah.
But
we can't run away from that.
We have to start by being our father's sons and know that what is in them is in us.
Yeah. So let us just take a simple break, then we'll come back because there are some talking points that we need to nail down. Let's take this simple break and then we come back.
Okay.
Catch an episode every single Monday of the week, and if you have anything that you want us to discuss, you can reach us out on solidjamaaz@gmail.com, or you can check us out on any of our social media pages, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook, and we'll have these conversations going on. It's a Conversations for Men. Enjoy the show. Well, we're back on Solid Jamaaz. It's been a very interesting discussion. I don't know about you, but I think I'm learning even from myself. So even as we went to a break, we were talking about breaking the patterns of the paternity imprints. And probably just to reflect, we are not blaming nobody here. We're saying it's a fact of life that good or bad, we are the sons of our fathers. I'm my father's son. If he was a good man, if he was a bad man, if he was a neutral man,
all that is in me.
All that is in me, and I cannot run away from it. It's a fact of life. And the danger again is, or even the blessing on the other side, is that my son is having the imprint of me, and I had the imprint of my father and his father. And by the way, probably the way my father
unconsciously,
the way my father was behaving again can also speak of how his father was behaving. So it's an Adamic.
Yes.
It goes all the way back. But what we're discussing, even as we come to the tail end of this episode, is the idea that we need to rise up, look at the man in the mirror, and know that there are some good aspects of life that we need to start espousing, and not saying that, me, there's nothing I can be able to do because I'm my father's son, right? So the first thing we've said, that the man needs to rise up, look at himself in the mirror, and draw a line in the sand and start changing some stuff. So what other things do you think that a man should do in order to, break the imprints that are wrong, or maybe sustain the ones that are good as a father?
I think today I want us to start with the concept of care.
Yeah.
That many times we as men are accused of not caring.
Right.
Of being careless.
Yeah.
Or of caring less.
Being careless, the careless is not the word there.
So we are careless with our words.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then sometimes we are careless with our finances.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we are careless.
We care less. We don't give a damn.
Yes.
Right.
And I've been saying that there is a revolution that would happen if we learned to give a damn. So I've been researching about care and what does it mean. And so I found some words that are synonymous with the word care, or go ahead to try and explain what care is. And some of these words are work on.
Yeah.
2, protection.
Yeah.
Give thought.
Yeah.
To something or to a cause. Giving thought.
Yeah. I also saw give attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Giving attention.
Being attentive.
And then tending to.
Yeah.
Nurturing. They say the same way that I tend to my garden here.
Yeah.
You know, nurturing. It involves pruning. It involves holding up.
Yeah.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
Maintenance. Now, when you think about these words, including repair, attend to, aid, assist, help, administer, guardianship, does any of those words sound passive to you?
They're all, you've got to be there. It's like presence becomes the conduit through which you care.
So we're going to talk about presence next. So you're seeing here that the reason why...
Can't do it using Bluetooth.
No. So the reason why caring seems hard for men is because it's work. Like it takes work to care about someone's feelings. It takes.
But let me ask you this interesting question: that is caring? Okay, if I love you, I'm in love with you. Does it automatically mean that, it's easy for me to care for you than?
If you love, you will care. Whether you show it is a different story.
Oh yeah, so the showing part still comes up.
Yeah. So you see, when you're over calling someone. You've just started dating, you're calling them morning, lunch, dinner, you're calling. Then when the calls reduce, the woman hears this man doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
When the money reduces, what the woman hears is you don't care anymore.
The conundrum is this. This is a very serious conundrum because you do that before she gets into your house. Then you take her, as you're dating, and you take her to church, you wed, and now she's in your house. So you don't call her
as much as you used to
when you were dating.
Because now for you somehow you feel like, now she's my house. I don't need the phone.
So now that's where the imprint of the paternity comes in. That you now model a new way of expressive care, right?
So this is where the farmer teaches us something.
Yeah.
That the farmer has to every day wake up and go and check on his garden and weed it,
tend it,
and tend to it and prune the plants. He has to be there to take note of what's going on. Because should he leave it to itself, any relationship left to itself is definitely going to spoil with weeds and overgrow. Any relationship left to itself, that is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's almost like what they call it, entropy.
Yeah, and the law of entropy.
Yes, anything
if you
left
leave that
to itself
car unattended, it starts
to die.
It starts to die. So if you think you're preserving your car by not driving it, you're actually killing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we as men have to learn from the farmer to go and pay attention and look at the plant and look at the fruit and say, oh, this is sick, I need to put it away. Or these are too many leaves, I need to cut them back. And here leaves could be, if you've watched that movie, I forget what it was called, that movie of Eddie Murphy where every word he spoke, a leaf would fall off.
I know that movie. I know that movie, but I've forgotten the name.
Yeah, but that movie should teach us something, that sometimes the words we are careless with could destroy a whole generation. So I wanted to talk about the different facets, but I wanted to first bring it home by understanding what a farmer teaches us. And a farmer teaches us to tend, he teaches us to prune. And you wonder why the Bible tells us that it is the will of the Father that we bear much fruit. But before he even goes on to say that, he says that my Father is the gardener who does what? Who prunes, who cuts back. So in this conversation of breaking patterns and building new patterns, we take on the nature of the farmer, the father who dresses the vine and says, no, this one we snip it, we do not continue like this. This is overgrown, this is on the ground, we lift it up. And you know what's interesting, what the Bible means by tending and pruning? It means that because a vine is a creeping plant, sometimes it will find itself on the floor. You see, like my strawberries there. Now the one that is in the soil on the rock would struggle to bear fruit. So if I want it to bear fruit sooner, I'll have to lift it from the ground and hold it onto a stick. Then I have tended to it. That is also part of pruning. So it means as a father, in our being present and showing care, we're able to notice and say, hey, my child is too quiet all of a sudden. Ever since they came back from this day, from this visit, my child has been quiet. What happened?
Be alert, right?
Exactly. Otherwise, you know what's happening? People are living with children who have been abused, and they don't know.
Yesterday, some days back, actually, I was talking to a family therapist, and was hosting on my podcast, and she said something heartbreaking. She says that the idea of emotional stress, mental health, is not a Muzungu thing. First of all, it's a human thing. And she said, kids have issues with mental health. Kids. And so, and
you think about the fact that recently someone went, I don't know what her name was, but she went and she gave a Congress hearing and said, guys, Facebook and Instagram are doing the opposite for your children. They're sending your children into mental distress. They're making your children feel ugly. So we are raising a generation on what? On Facebook, on Instagram, on social media, and we do not know what's going on in their minds. But how will you know unless you pay attention?
So we've got to be there. I mean, growing up, as in raising people, is not leaving them to the wild, so to speak. As in, I've paid the rent, I've paid the school fees, I've paid the maid, I've bought them shoes, I've bought them clothes. That's like,
we have to struggle to balance that equation for men between paying bills and paying attention. I want to specifically speak to men who find themselves in a situation where they are not living with their children because maybe they are separated with the mothers of their children. I want to encourage you to find a way to be present in your children's lives.
And maybe let me also encourage the mothers who are living with those kids. Allow the man. Make it as easy for him to access.
Why should he fight for his children?
Honestly,
Did he fight to have them? Now you want him to fight to see his
Make
kids.
Make it easy for him to access his kids, because we're talking about the imprint
and patterns
or the lack
of paternity.
of it and patterns of paternity. Because if a kid sees the absence of the father, the kid is being affected one or another.
You get? So this is all hooliganism and stupidity. When people think that now my children have become crazy, then you take your children to boarding school. Do you know what you have done? Do you know what you have done?
I was talking to the family therapist. That issue of boarding school came up. You know what she said? She said boarding school was never intended for kids. It was actually intended for delinquents. Those kids who have issues.
You say this and orphans and the military.
That's what boarding is all about. It wasn't in boarding. Doesn't put an imprint. So actually, it does put an imprint of somebody else, of some other things in life,
and not of the parents.
And not of the parents.
So you have a child who is raising himself, and you wonder why they are not listening to you. So, guys, we're talking about care. So the first, we've talked about presence, but now let's talk about concern. Showing concern. Because showing concern,
it can't be passive.
It can't. It requires you to have a certain level of emotional investment.
Intelligence also, and you've got to ask, you've got to communicate, you've got to get to the bottom of things.
So showing concern as a part of care is what would call showing interest.
Yeah.
Interest.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with my mother over the weekend, and I just bumped into a guy who turned out to be a soldier from South Africa, and we just had a conversation, and within that conversation we talked about Africa, we talked about colonialism.